I want to welcome everybody real quick to what is the next edition of Wealth Wednesdays. And if you've been following my channel, really the intention behind my effort with Wealth Wednesday is to simply remind the community that there is so much resource right here in Tucson, in our community, particularly in the community of the Latino market, right? There's so much resourcefulness, there's so much skills. There are so many people that are just wanting to help other people out, right? Within the business community, the entrepreneur community. We're all here to ensure that we get our business to that level of success that we thrive for, but we also help those around us do the same. And so when I think about wealth, Francisco, I want you to speak to a little bit about that yourself. But when we talk about generating wealth, the way that I think about it is that it's more than money, right? It's more than financial wealth. There is your spiritual well-being. That's also wealth, and that's part of you creating wealth for yourself. The friendships and the connections and the relationships that you have with people, that's all encompassing your wealth in general as a whole. So it's more of a holistic approach to being a wealthy person, because as you know, you could have all the money in the world and you're not necessarily a healthy, wealthy person, right? And so when you take a more holistic approach to wealth, you want to be able to ensure that you're taking care of yourself spiritually, physically, mentally, and that is all going to contribute to this wheel of that makes up your wealth. And so Wealth Wednesdays was just, I went off on a whim and I said, you know what, I'm going to go live on Facebook and I'm going to invite some of my friends and we're going to talk about what wealth means to them and what it is that they're doing in Tucson and the surrounding communities to ensure that people have access to generating their own wealth, whatever that may mean. And Francisco, I met you quite a while ago through a really trusted friend of ours in the community. And I really appreciated your perspective around this topic, in particular about ensuring that our community has access to wealth and has access to that happiness, right? And so I'm really happy that you decided that it would be a good idea to join me here on a Wednesday evening after work. There's a lot of other things that you could be doing, but I know that you're passionate about this and that you're passionate about helping people. And so I want to talk specifically, I'm sure you'll get to this, but Francisco, take a minute to kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, just personally, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, and then we'll get into the line of questions.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Osiel, for having me here as one of your guests. Well, my name is Francisco René Moreno, and I am my mom's from Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. My dad's from Guadalajara. I was born in Compton, California. My father passed away when I was 5 months old, so my mom had a single mom for a while. She remarried, grew up in Compton. Not the best environment to grow up with, but I think I appreciate being part of that environment growing up because it made me who I am today. I saw a lot of poverty, and I also saw a lot of wealth in California. My mom used to clean houses in Pasadena, California, and I met a gentleman by the name of Mr. Johnson, and one day he said, he used to call me Frankie. He said, hey, Frankie, I'm going to tell you 3 things you have to do. Number 1, you got to get out of Compton. You got to get out of the hood. Number 2, you got to go to college. And number 3, you got to learn about real estate and you got to learn about investments. Wow. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that. And it was an eye-opener for me. As I got older, I went to the University of Arizona. I became a father at a very young age, at 19. My daughter's 26 now. I can give you my age there. But it was a great opportunity for me to man up, right? I was 19 years old. What are you going to do, right? I didn't have a dad. I had a single mom. I had to go out there and hustle. Yeah. And I knew education was part of that plan, but I also didn't want to be just a regular educated person with just have my degree or have my master's, which is nothing wrong with that, but I wanted more of a life. And somebody told me self-education is the best avenue to create wealth. And I did that. And now 15 years later, I've been an option trader. I worked for San Miguel Catholic High School for many years, empowering the community. And my whole mission in life is to help others.
Thank
Buenas
you for
noches.
sharing that. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you for sharing that. I myself also became a father at 19, so we were in the same place not that
Yeah.
long ago. We're not that old.
Thank you.
Francisco, you mentioned that obviously self-education is critical, right? Formal
Mhm.
education, traditional education is important, but what's critical
Correct.
to generating wealth, but also having control of your own destiny, and how you do that is that self-education, right? And so I understand that you've developed multiple avenues, not just the one that we're talking about today, but the one that I want to
Mhm.
focus on today is something that you called Invierto En Mi, right? Which, if I'm
Mhm.
correct, en español, en inglés quiere decir, I invest in myself. Can you
Correct.
talk to us a little bit about what is Invierto En Mi?
So Invierto en mí, I had this idea for a while. You know that I talked to you when I had this idea and other people, but it actually came to fruition. And when my son came, he's now turning 18, came and said, "Hey, Dad, can you teach me the options game? You've been an option trader for a long time. Can you teach me what you know? I'm turning 18 in December, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
learn."
Right.
And I said, "Wow, that's when the market crashed." I said, "Okay, I think it's an opportunity for my son to learn." And also, I always knew this that the stock market was the greatest equalizer in the world because it doesn't matter if your last name is Barrios, his last name is Moreno, if you went to college, if you're a single father or a single mother, it didn't matter. As long
Mm-hmm.
as you were educated and you read the books and you put those trades and you talk to the right people, you will be successful. And
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be in Wall Street to be successful at this. And
Mm-hmm.
when he came, I said, well, maybe this is the first time to do this. And my wife encouraged me to say, hey, why don't you teach other people? And she mentioned this to me. She said, why are you gonna die with all your skills to give to the world? And I've been on option
Mm.
for over 15 years. So I said, wow, that's pretty deep. And I said, if I could teach my son, a 17-year-old student, why can't I teach others? So I opened it up on Facebook. I don't know if you remember it. I said, hey, I'm
I
looking for
do.
5 guinea pigs. I call them guinea pigs who want
Uh-huh.
to take this course with me because I'm not a teacher. I am not a teacher at all. I'm just a servant leader. And I love to serve people. And I served with 5 people. And I wanted people who have no college degrees. I wanted people in Spanish. I wanted people who don't know what the stock was just to try my system if it worked. I
Right.
had many mentors throughout my years, and I started with those 5 people, and it grew and it grew. Now we have 4 generations that graduated from my program. It's an online program, and we're changing lives. We're definitely changing lives. So it's an educational platform that I'm very happy to announce that next November. This November coming, we'll be launching into Mexico. So it is something that, like I told you, that's how you change the world by
Wow.
helping one person at a time with real skills. Real skills. I mean, college is great. You went to college. I went to college, but college just gives you a scope of what life's all about. But
Right.
if you go out there and become an entrepreneur, real estate, houses, whatever you enjoy, building a company, things happen for you, and that's just happening with Invierto. To me, it was just like an oops, like hey, I'm talking about it. Maybe I do it. I talked to Ciel about it. I talked to Raul about it. Different people, and then when my son came, it was a perfect opportunity for me. Like I told my son, if you can learn about the stock market, you're gonna learn it at the worst time in your life because you would never see a stock market like it is right now. So
So,
that's what
Francis,
Invierto.
that's amazing, Francisco. And I gotta tell you, you mentioned a couple of really important points. The one that stood out to me was, or two main ones, is that the stock market doesn't discriminate, right? It doesn't care where you come from, what you look like, what language you speak, what you're comfortable with. All you have to know, all you have to do is believe in yourself, right, and take that leap, right? Because it is about taking that first step, because
Correct.
I'm sure you know, and I'm going to ask you to elaborate a little bit about this, but it's not something that is common in the Latino community to play with money, right?
Exactly.
Playing with money is something that is frowned upon, honestly. And
Mhm.
so to speak to the Latino community about, hey, you should invest in the stock market, they come like, no, estás loco, like, right? Like, I gotta keep my money out, under my mattress, where nobody could touch
Correct.
it. And so the other thing that you mentioned that was really important to me was that um, this isn't new to you. You've been doing this for a long time. Invierto en Mi may be new, but this you're not new to the game. You've been doing this for, you said,
No,
15 years?
15 years. My son is 14 now, so 15 years now.
That's incredible. I mean, that's a wealth of knowledge that we have here in Tucson, in the Latino community, specifically in Tucson, that I think we should be taking advantage of. So, Francisco, can you elaborate
Thank
more? Because I think it's incredible that you revolutionized the game, the money game in the Latino community here in Tucson. And so, but I want to understand why. I know you mentioned your wife said, "Hey, you have all these skills, share it." Right? But
you.
share a little bit more with me and the people that are going to check out this video. Why did you start Invierto en Mi?
Okay.
And yeah,
The,
and why now?
yeah. Well, first of all, I always done this for 15 years. I did it full time, so it's 2004 to 2008 or 9, full time, every day watching the screens, every day trading. I was mentored by a trader up in Phoenix, and then I met other people who mentored me throughout the years. And for me, it was a way of, once I got divorced and life happens and you got to start all over again, and I didn't want to be part of just the status quo. Just I look at screens and I'm just looking at it and I'm a number, right?
Yeah.
So I promised myself that I was gonna leave, but I wanted to give back to my community and start somewhere. That's why I ended up at the high school, San Miguel High School, as a vice president of corporate relations. But I always knew that I enjoyed my job, but they didn't pay me enough to stay there. So I had to say, well, I'm a trader. I'm gonna go back and trade. So I started trading. If I was making $1,000 a month extra, that was paying my mortgage. But I was able to be affordable to be at San Miguel because the lifestyle that I wanted wasn't obtainable having just a regular job.
Okay.
So that kind of, I always kept doing it. Then I started a class at San Miguel High School in 2008, the first graduating class. And from there, I'm very proud to say, we had 10 kids. 4 of those students all have become financial professionals. 2 of them are working in New York, and 1 is working in Chicago at the Chicago Merchant Exchange. In that group of 2008 students who are now probably they're 30 some now, 33, 34 now. So that connection and showing that it's okay to talk about money.
Yeah.
Because nobody told me anything. If it wasn't from Johnson, I would have never known about stocks. And I really didn't know anything until he told me about it. But I was so young until I went to the U of A, and my professor said, "Francisco, I just bought Apple stock." I go, "What is that?" This is 1994. I'm dating myself. I'm like, "What is that?" Okay. And I really was seeking the knowledge because nobody, and my mom didn't talk about it. Right. My family, my friend didn't talk about it. Right. I was okay. I don't want to sell mutual funds. I heard of other companies selling and stuff like that, but they didn't cater to people that look like me, especially a young father, right? Sure. They want to sell me insurance, but that was it, right? But I wanted more than that. I wanted the knowledge. Like, how does a mutual fund work? What is an annuity? And that just fascinated me. And the craziest thing, I applied to Eller. My degree's in economics, but I never got accepted at Eller. You know, so I ended on my own path, right? So yeah, that's why I did it. And your second question was why now? Did I answer the first one?
Yes, you did. Thank you. Yeah.
And why now? Because there are times that we're living now. This economic, political, epidemic, digital world now. Right. And I felt the need, if I had this skill, if I know how to create money. And in 2004, when I used to tell people, I make money, I used to trade resource in motion. I remember RIM. It was a BlackBerry. Remember the BlackBerries? I would trade BlackBerries, the company, which is no longer here no more. That's why I tell people companies go up and companies go down. And resource in motion, which was BlackBerry, was the biggest thing out there. It was an Apple phone, right? And I was trading with that. And I will explain to people, I remember Amazon being at $89. Now it's over $3,000. And tell people, you can make money online and sell things. People are like, what are you talking about? So now people are more open to it. We have conversations like this. There's Zoom. There's so many tools out there that I said, if it's a time that I could show, especially the Latino community, about the market, it's now. And I share this with you, 28% of Latinos own individual stocks only. 28%, own individual stocks. Now I'm talking about mutual funds or I'm talking about individual. You own a Ford stock. You
Right.
own a Tesla. Our people don't do that
So not
because
even
we never talk.
not even 3 out of 10 we're talking about.
Exactly. It was a Gallup poll. It came out. I share it with you. 28%. And
So
people who make less than 40% um, own like 20% of the stocks.
So I
Very
think
sad.
I think it's important for us to drill down a little bit more on that, Francisco. And I don't expect you to know all these answers, but I think you'll know some of them, right? Just for context, you mentioned that 28% of Latinos own individual stock. That's not good enough. What do you know? What percentage of the Caucasian community owns individual stock?
They're about 41%.
About 41%. And
Yeah.
I mean, if that doesn't tell us something that we gotta
Conspiracy.
that we need to change that quickly. That's why I acknowledge and I'm so grateful of the work that you're doing for the Latino community. And it just makes sense because you have, your wife told you, hey, you have this skill, you need to share it with the world. And it's almost like, well, you've been doing that your whole life already, working with the high school, and ensuring that the students there have this financial education behind them. And now it's more about, bringing everybody else into the mix. And so
I
I
agree.
think I think that's incredible, Francisco, what you're doing. Um, can we talk a little bit more about that though? Like, why do you think it's important for people to learn about trading stocks? For people to feel comfortable playing with money, right? To stop thinking about it as a scarcity resource and more of an abundance of energy that we're able to flow with, right? Because the moment that we're able to kind of desensitize, if you will, ourselves from money, right? So that we're not so emotionally attached to it, we're able to do a lot more with it. And so why do you think
Correct.
it's important for people to learn about trading, and playing with stocks?
Mhm. Well, first of all, it just opens your mind to the possibility. Like I tell people, when you buy one stock, not a 401k, you buy individual stock, you buy Target.
Right.
You own Target. You have ownership. You own something there that is intangible asset that you could sell. Okay. And when I tell people, they're like, you like Starbucks? Well, why don't you own one piece of Starbucks?
Yeah.
And when I tell people that, it revolutionizes their mind. Like, wow, it just changes the whole perspective of seeing things. I tell people, when people ask me, Francisco, what should I buy? And again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just showing what I do. Okay. I'm
Right.
a, just for the disclaimer
Disclosure.
purposes.
Disclosure.
Disclosure. And I tell people, you like Buffalo Wild Wings? Oh, I love Buffalo Wild Wings, Francisco. Then why don't you buy the stock? And people, once they get that, we scared people become empowered. And it
Mm.
just changes and liberalizes the way. And then I tell people, you could own one share of 100 shares of. We get more deep into this. You own one share of 100 shares of Apple for only $100. How does that, Francisco? And I show them how. Well, that's what's called options. Options are what the number one. That's why I'm very proud of my traders. They're doing what hedge funds are doing. They're doing what Ray Dalio is doing. They're doing, and
Mm.
these are Chicano families, Latinos, a lady who cleans houses, who runs a Zumba studio doing, and they're betting, they're hedging in the market, and they're doing stuff like not even the 1% of 1% do.
Yeah.
And it's exciting because you show them the ropes and they get it, and they're
Right.
like, wow. My mother learned, and she does it a little bit, not a lot, but she does it. I
Mm-hmm.
play with my wife. I say, hey, we're gonna go to a trip. Let me just make my money in the option world. So I tell my students to make a goal. How much you want to make a month? You want to pay your car payment? Let's do that. Let's find a way how to make a car payment. And then or if you double your money or whatever you do, you get that money and you invest in stocks for long term. Put it in a Roth IRA. I always
Right.
talk to your financial planner, whatever. But it is changing the mindset. And now parents are telling me, Francisco, my 12-year-old is buying stocks now. We're
Mm.
having a conversation of Snapchat. We're having
Mm-hmm.
a conversation of TikTok. These 12, 10, 15-year-old kids are talking about with their parents that me and you never had that opportunity. So that's
Mm-hmm.
how you create generational wealth. That's how you create a changing in the mindset right here. Right
Right.
here with see it. You're doing with your children in the real estate. They're probably say, Dad, you sell a house. Well, how do you sell a house? And it just changes, it blows them up, right? And
Absolutely.
like
Oh yeah.
I shared on Facebook, my 17-year-old son is doing his own trades now. He called and he said, hey, Dad, I'm buying Microsoft. What do you think? I'm holding it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, this kid gets it. He just
Mm-hmm.
gets it now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how you change. Imagine my son and all these other kids who are being exposed to this. Imagine when they're 30, your age. I'm 45. Where they are going to be at? And that's what we want to change. That mentality that it's okay. Americans do it all the time. Caucasians say having a table or talk about their Ford stocks. Their tata gives them. They don't give them toys. They give
Right.
them Ford stock. They give
Right.
them Microsoft stock. Why can't we do the same thing? Now it's such
Mm-hmm.
easy to do that. Just having
Right.
that conversation. And I'm just saying, just to, and I tell this to people, I don't care if you have a financial planner, a financial advisor. It's great to have those. They're great people, professionals, but nobody's going to take care of your money the way who? You do.
The way you do.
The way
Absolutely.
you do. Yeah. So if you
Absolutely.
learn how to read statements, you know how to, we share all that. We show how to read statements, how you do research on different stocks, and you sit there and you read and you show them, they get
Mm-hmm.
it. They
So
get it.
Francisco, you answered probably the most important question that I had for you already without me having to ask it. So I'm just gonna ask you if you have anything that you want to add to it. Is how can Invierto en Mi help create generational wealth?
By learning the skills, by taking the course. I mean, my course, I made it very affordable, and not because I make my money trading. But I had it to show people had skin in the game. They had to
Right.
have some skin in the game, right?
Right.
Before I used to like my students in San Miguel and show them. Some would show up, some wouldn't show up, and I try to teach people because I was passionate about this. I
Right.
love it. I love
Right.
helping people. I love them at the odd moment. Like people are like, oh my God, I finally get
Yeah.
how a put works. A put
Yep.
means that the market, and people don't get this. So when I tell this to people, do you know you can make money when the market goes down? They're like, oh, I thought you lose money all the time. I'm like, no, you can make money by shorting the stock, going down
Mm.
with it. And,
Right.
and that's for them like, wow. So
Yeah.
it is changing the mindset, changing the opportunity, and that's what Invierte en Mi is to change those people's lives, to change their mindset. And I tell people, I don't understand because when you trade, the real Uciel comes out. It could be a greedy Uciel, it could be a very scared Uciel. I mean, so it's crazy. Trading shows your true colors. And I tell
Ah.
my students, I have rules. I have rules, and I tell follow these rules to combat that. If you're losing money, you get out in this amount. If you're winning, you get out in this amount. And once they get that pattern, Uciel,
Right.
I mean, you see my videos, my testimonies of people saying, it's
Absolutely.
changed. They're going back to the 403Bs and having conversations with other teachers, with
Right.
other doctors. And I have
Mm-hmm.
stockbrokers who are taking my class with me, and they love it. They're like, Francisco, I never thought this was possible. I heard, I took the test, I didn't know, but now taking the class, I get it.
Mm.
So I mean, for example, right now I'm just again my free thing. That's just me. Don't take my advice, okay? It's just for fun. Right now, give you a free tip, free trade idea I call it. The banking stocks are low. Why won't you buy an ETF? Buy an ETF of the financial industry, and you let it go for a year. We'll see it. I guarantee you'll make more money than having it in the bank.
Mm.
It's just mind blowing what our people are doing, and now that we're getting more Latinos in, and all my stuff is word of mouth, and they put out their testimonies, and it's exciting. And my classes, once you get in, you could take it as many times as you want, unlimited, unlimited. You can just keep going, 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 going. And I have people who've been with me since I started, and they're still learning because trading in the stock market, it's different every day,
Right.
and it teaches you something every day.
Right. I gotta be honest with you, Francisco. I love everything that you're saying. Honestly, in the last couple of months, I've been dabbling. I've been playing around with some of my funds in my 403B and my 401k, and kind of being more hands on about where that money sits. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been seeing some incredible results, like quickly. And so, like you're absolutely right. Nobody takes care of your money better than you do. But also, since we're being honest, it's uncomfortable, right? It's so different. It's so uncomfortable. It's not what we typically do with money. And so, my last question for you is for people that are out there like me, who are still kind of on the fence about do I really want to invest in individual stocks or options? Do I really want to move my money around so much, right? Because they focus on, well, I could lose it, right? But we gotta focus on, we're like, no, actually, you can make a lot of money also. But I want to hear more from you and your experience. You've been doing this for 15 years. What advice do you have for those that are kind of entertaining the idea of looking into
Hmm.
investing in the stock market, but I mean, they've never really like taken that risk. They're there, they know it's a good idea, but it's
Hmm.
so uncomfortable that they haven't been able to take the first step.
The first thing is get educated. Get a book, a course, something, YouTube, something for you just to educate yourself on the subject. And if you want to put a trade, if you want to, my suggestions, I always tell people, they're the ETFs. ETFs are traded mutual. You could trade them, and it's a holding of different companies. That's the easiest way to do it, Luciel. If you take, okay, again, I'm not a financial advisor. If you just take the QQQs, okay, you take the SPY. The SPY is the 500 biggest companies,
Right,
the ETF,
right.
and you get the QQQ, the technology stocks, and you get some energy or the XLV. The X, write this down, people. If you're hearing this XLV, it's a ETF, but that's what? That's healthcare. Healthcare.
Right.
So right now, what are we doing? Pandemic, right? So you do ETF, little bit, 10% on that, 20%, whatever you feel comfortable. I love technology, so I'll go 40% the QQQ, the SPY, 20. Divide your portfolios in those, and I guarantee you, Ciel, you're gonna beat any mutual fund out there.
Mm,
Financials, the SPY, the QQQs, and the healthcare.
okay.
Healthcare or energy stocks have gone down. If
Hmm.
you're here for the long term, buy some energy for a long term. November's coming. What happens in November? It gets cold.
Right.
What do we do? Yes, right? So that would be my suggestion. Get educated. Don't be scared. I use the platform, and I'm not endorsing them. I use E-Trade. It's very simple to use the platform. You can move around. There's virtual money. You could play virtually. I mean, we play virtually for a while until people feel comfortable and
Mm,
have your good ideas. Once you
okay.
feel comfortable, like, okay, I'm gonna put. You're not gonna bet the farm, but you're gonna buy like, okay, I'm gonna put $100.
Right.
I mean, right now I have three teachers working with me, and they love it. Their whole mindset is like, oh my God, why nobody teaches us our kids about this?
Right.
I mean, it's amazing seeing that.
Right.
But yeah, for example, anybody who likes Ford, they come in with the Ford Bronco. Okay, Ford is $6, 650 the share. Why don't you buy that?
Right.
So it's just exciting to be able to. I mean, then I get into dividend payments.
Hmm.
That's another ball of wax. Imagine getting a dividend payment every 3 months
Right.
for your rest of your life.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's just crazy.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
it's just crazy. And you're changing people's lives. And because we as Latinos, we don't get that. Our mom said, go to college, get educated, make sure you help out and serve our community. And second of all, make sure you help your familia, your family. Family is very important to us.
Right.
And money was always evil.
Right.
The one that had the money, you're an evil guy. Or if
Right.
you're a greedy. But now these people are having these conversations, and it's amazing. I mean, and we should, as Latinos, as any person should take advantage of their own money because nobody's gonna take care of them. I don't care. I mean, the stockbrokers that take my class, they tell me, Francisco, wow, I didn't know I could buy an oil option till 2 years out for a couple bucks.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just mindsetting. So
Right.
that's what we're doing. We're changing people now. We're going into Mexico with this technology. I have to improve my Spanish because I'm a pocho. I don't speak perfect Spanish, but
Same, brother.
but
Same.
so I started with one student, and now he said, "Can you help more of my friends in Mexico?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." And I posted on Facebook the pesos. It was kind of crazy seeing pesos, but
Uh-huh.
uh, but yeah. And that's how you make change. It doesn't matter who's your president. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you learn a skill, I mean, as you know, Ciel, I don't have to tell you, you would change people's lives.
Well,
And
you know
we're
what?
only here for 1 minute, so change it.
That's absolutely right. I really appreciate everything that you share, Francisco. If one thing is clear, number one, obviously you're skilled in this area, but number two, you're passionate. And so to me, what better person to get connected with than yourself for somebody
Okay.
who wants to take that first step, which is what you said is getting educated, learning the system, understanding how it works. Because the more you
Hmm.
know, the better equipped you're going to be, and the less risks you're going to take because now they're educated risks. And so, Francisco, before we sign off here, how can people get in touch with you? After we're done with this live, obviously we're gonna share it, and I'll put some links down below. But for those who are with us right now, how can people get in touch with you?
They could email me or in the links below that you will put and my email is Moreno, Moreno, Francisco 182 at gmail.com. I won't give my personal number because people will call, but yeah, Moreno Francisco 182 at gmail.com. If you guys want to see one of the classes that I do, I usually sometimes go live on Facebook, but I'll send you the link. Just jump in. This is our third week. We're almost done. Our fourth week. We start October 12th again, our next cohort of students coming in October 12th. I do it at 7:30 in the morning. I just do 30 minutes, and then I do my Spanish at 8 to 8:30. And
Okay.
but yeah, let me know. I'm here to serve. I'm gonna be teaching with Raul. We're gonna be teaching some Latino kids from El Barrio on the stock market. Imagine if I could train young kids at age 13, not 17 like my son,
Sure.
13,
Sure.
and get them prepared. And now that Wall Street is being more diverse, I'm preparing the next generation of traders for New York.
That's
And I tell them,
really
I want you to
exciting.
learn mathematics. I want you to know economics. And these kids are going to be the next generation who are going to be running the hedge funds. Imagine
Yeah.
that. Like my kids in San Miguel who are working at I never thought that was going to happen, but they're doing it. I mean, one works in the Chicago Merchants Exchange. I'm like, oh my
Wow.
God, that was my dream job, and he's doing it. He's what
Wow.
they call him. They call him a market maker. He
Yeah.
makes the market,
Yeah.
and he's a kid from Chicano kid from Tulsa, Valencia.
I
So
love it.
so
I
that's my
love it.
passion now. That's my
That's
passion now.
that's absolutely what Wealth Wednesdays is about, and that's why I knew you would be the perfect guest. Francisco, I know this isn't the only thing that you're doing to help out the community. I know you have other avenues that you're utilizing to obviously generate your own wealth for your own generations
Mhm.
to come, but to also help the community in other ways. And so I'm hoping that you're going to answer the call for next time that we want you over here to talk about your other avenues.
Anytime, anytime.
But you said it was Moreno Francisco.
Moreno Francisco at Moreno Francisco 182 at
Uh-huh.
gmail.com.
Moreno Francisco 182 at gmail.com is how you can get a hold of Francisco. And like he said, he'll be happy to have you into one of his classes. And if we've taken anything from these last 30 minutes, is that not enough of us in the Latino community are getting involved in the stock market and in options and trading and being more hands-on invested in our money. Our money game, our mental game has to get into that next level so that we can create some generational wealth, and the generations after us don't have to go through some of the hardships that we go through. And so that's what
Correct.
Wealth Wednesdays is about. It's about creating a holistic approach to creating wealth, not only financial, but health, mental, spiritual, educational, physical. All of that is what's going to take us to that next level as a community. So with Francisco, that's definitely what he brings to the table is critical. And so Francisco, we're grateful for you. Thank you for taking the time to join us on this Wednesday evening. And again,
Thank you.
for those of you who showed up today during our live, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you, Francisco.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.